Good morning, my Teaserking family. It took a while for YouTube to connect. They kept saying going live and there's a circle. So it took a couple of minutes for maybe busy. Anyway, so let's go through college. Really, this is just to see what's going on, line changes, any injuries that I've heard of. Today playing three locks with a pro lock, and I have two other pro locks that I found after our analysis yesterday. So 6 locks out there. I was able to add, my system was like either college or pro. And if you bought college, you got the college. If you bought pro, you got the pro. But what happens is, what if I got a buyer that buys pro and a buyer that buys college, and I got a lock that's college pro, which I have this week, then I either put it in twice, but I don't want everybody else to get confused and play it twice. So I had my guy call it college pro so I could choose both. And then I tested it. And if you got college, you pick it up. If you got pro, you pick it up. Because I do that a lot. I look for the best play. And if the best play is a college and a pro play, then that's exactly what I do. So that's fixed. It might not show on the history for a week as we figure that out, but at least everybody can get the picks, as that's the point of it. So let's go through the line. Let's go through, yes. So here's what's happened. West Virginia 33-10. Now they see, here's where the trends really start changing, right? 33-10. They're an over defense, mostly from the Pitt game. They play an under team in Virginia Tech, and look what happens. It's 33-10, so they don't give up a lot of points against a weak defensive team. They do put up 33 on a good defensive team, Virginia Tech also. That you would have thought, because they're an over. Coastal Carolina, 41-24, 2 over teams. Play the over. Over was 62. They scored 65. There you go. So that's how you play it, right? If you get the over teams, and it was not a big, it was 62 with Coastal Carolina. Now in the game, McCall got hurt, and they had their third string quarterback out there, and they still scored 41. So, but if you notice, it's 41-24. You need the team that, that can score, but in somewhat of a competitive game. Hey, Nick, played Air Force lock last night. Bounce back game against the terrible. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. I was just about to get to it. So Syracuse 22-20 over Virginia. Over under 54. They don't get there. Virginia's an under team, and they held Syracuse. Syracuse not that great, but got the 22-20. And then, as Nick just pointed out, Air Force laying 24 to Nevada off of a terrible loss to Wyoming, must-win game. 48-20 Air Force. And Air Force, very good team. Over-under on this game was 46, and Air Force got it all by themselves. Now, Nevada's an under team, not necessarily a weak defensive team, but they can't score. So that was a good play, Nick. We had talked about Air Force. Again, this is why you look for teams off of a loss, a good team off of a loss, right? So Nebraska's not a good team. They got killed by Oklahoma, but I wouldn't think, Nebraska, they're going to come back. I think that it's going to generate tomorrow in the pros with Cincinnati off of 2 losses in a must-win game back against the wall game. And also, I think Tennessee with the 2 losses, or the loss of the tie. No, they got 2 losses. They have to win also. So can they win? I don't know. But Cincinnati off of 2 losses back against the wall game, I look for Cincinnati to win pretty good tomorrow. Ryan, hey, Ryan, take Wisconsin in points. I guarantee it. Okay, Ryan. You can be a guest on our show. It's funny. I watch these economic shows, and they have these guests come on, and I always bitch at them about what I want to watch the show for you. I don't want to watch for the guests. Now, okay, Ryan. So how is this going to happen? Wisconsin can't score 27 points on Washington State. They don't have a quarterback. Can they really run the ball on Ohio State? So I'm intrigued. I haven't played the game. I was thinking of playing an Ohio State-Michigan teaser, which I haven't done yet. But I really don't know how Wisconsin gets to 27. But we'll see. All right, so let's go through the line today. So this is as of right now. This is now Vegas. Their line comes out probably at 7, and it's theoretically 7:30 there. So we got Iowa State still 2.5, 45 over Baylor. We like Baylor there. Georgia 44.5, 61.5. We like the under there. Michigan still 17. Now I'm shocked this spread isn't 21, 24. Michigan, what's changed about Michigan is their defense, and they're running the ball. So they're playing Coach Bo football. They're going to pound the ball down their throats, and Maryland won't have time. Maryland sucks against good teams. They just beat up on weak teams. So I'm really thinking this is 17 down to 11 is a joke, I think. Penn State 28.5, 61.5. Central, really no play there. Probably an over. Central can score as they did on Oak State. And Penn State, as you see, they've been scoring like they did on Ohio. So I think this will be over 61.5. Louisville 14.5, 63 against South Florida. South Florida stinks, and then last week they nearly beat Florida. So I think Louisville handles them here. Let's see, Nick. Have to log off. Have a good day and go Bulldogs. Okay, enjoy, Nick. Take care. Major James, how are you, sir? Good morning. Okay. Clemson 7.5, 57 over Wake. I kind of am mixed on this game. I think it's an under. Does Hartman keep it close? I don't know. Their defense is so strong, and Wake's really an offensive team. So I kind of, my gut's telling me Clemson minus 1.5 is probably the play here. Their defense, and they're going to run the ball. Hartman's very good. So it's hard to play Clemson over, but they scored a lot last week. So I'm intrigued what's going on. I know Ugubli is not a very good quarterback. So that. Aiden Tobin, thoughts on Kentucky minus 26.5 against Northern Illinois. And well, is Rocky Lombardi playing? This is the question. If Rocky Lombardi's not playing and he's injured and questionable, I'd like Kentucky. Northern Illinois is a very good MAC team. Kentucky's very underrated. Do you know who they have next week, Kentucky? If they've got like an Alabama or a Georgia, I don't know. But if they don't, I think they're very good. We had them against Florida, getting points. That was an easy one. So Chuck Lombardi, the quarterback of Northern Illinois, if he's out, I would think Kentucky will handle it. But it's a big number for Kentucky. Ryan, Badgers going Wildcat, going to throw Ohio State defense off. They got no. Okay, so back to Kentucky. Ole Miss, that's a decent game for them, but not a big one. Yeah, they should. They want the win. I think Kentucky. Let me check injuries if I can get injuries. Let me get to Kentucky. Give me 1 minute to get to Kentucky. So Eastern 7:59 over Buffalo. I don't really have a preference on that. Buffalo's a W. Eastern's an over. Maybe Eastern wins at home. The lines move from 6 to 7, so there's some money going on Eastern, which really doesn't mean anything. Buffalo's kind of a weak team, so I think Eastern at home. Kansas 764.5 over Duke. Kansas is very strong right now, lighting up West Virginia and then lighting up Houston. I don't think I'll have any problem with Duke. That is my free pick, Kansas minus the 1 with the who's my pro pick? I don't remember. My free power Kansas City Chiefs. So play a teaser, Kansas City. Kansas -1 with the way their offense looks. Duke's not going to stay with them. Duke doesn't have that kind of offense. And like I said, Kansas beat West Virginia. They didn't like score a lot and lose. They beat West Virginia, and then they beat Houston's a very good team, and they killed them. So look for Kansas. You've got to erase Kansas being a Z team being crap. Kansas is not that team anymore. And I think 7's a joke. I think that's a very low number. Mississippi State 31, 52.5 over Bowling Green. TCU 271 over SMU. I kind of like over in that game. It's a high over, but TCU can score. Well, I got them as an A team. I got SMU as a B team. I still think it's an over with SMU against with TCU. Auburn 7.5, 51 over Missouri. Temple 10, 43.5 over UMass. UCLA 21.5, 57 over Colorado, like UCLA. North Carolina 2.5, 55.5 over Notre Dame. Notre Dame with no quarterback play. Coaching's terrible. I don't know. North Carolina does not have a defense, and it's normally a defense. Maybe it's an under, even though it's North Carolina, because Notre Dame's going to shut them down. Notre Dame can't score. So it's almost like Clemson last year, where Notre Dame's just an under in all these games, even against a high scoring North Carolina. Miami 25.5, 53.5 over Middle Tennessee. Miami off of a loss should kill them. Interesting game. Minnesota 3 over Michigan State. Michigan State's got a few receivers that are questionable. One of them is Reed, the quarterback's, roommate who he throws to all the time. If he plays, I like Michigan State. Now, Michigan State's coming off of a loss where they got kind of blown out by Washington, and they're a home dog to a weak Minnesota team. Minnesota's okay, but they're not. Michigan State should be favored in this game. So I like Michigan State's a very live home dog. Tennessee 11 over Florida. Well, you see Florida, their quarterback stinks. They got a decent defense. Tennessee can score, but not, against the Florida. I don't like this 62.5. I think that's ridiculous. I don't know. It's a tough call. I think Tennessee's laying a little too much, and Florida is a little, pretty strong defense. Cincinnati 16.5, 57 over Indiana. I think that's an under. Cincinnati, good defensive team. App State 7 over James Madison. I don't know James Madison, the Division II powerhouse that moved up. That seems to be very good, but this is the test. Again, this is a Sun Belt test. They haven't really played anybody. Thoughts on UNLV money line? Just lay the 2.5. They're going to kill them. Why go to a money line? Please explain money line to me. Why anybody would play that with a 2-point favorite? I get maybe a 10-point money line, but then you're laying so much. I mean, UNLV they're going to kill them. They don't, just lay the points. Toledo 3 over San Diego State. At San Diego State, be careful here. Can Toledo – now Toledo's the best team in the MAC, but are they going to go to San Diego State as a favorite? That's a hard task to go out west as the favorite. Texas 7 over Texas Tech. Texas lost their quarterback, has a good running back. I have a feeling Texas -1 is a win here, but we'll see. Texas Tech's okay. Memphis 12.5 over North Texas, high over under. Memphis is here's where I got to go to my thing. They're both over teams. So I have this as an over, 70 down to 69. Memphis doesn't have the defense to cover the 12.5 or 6.5. I think this is an over. Western Kentucky 31-65, Florida International. Western Kentucky, very explosive team, kind of a high number. Be careful. UCF 21 over Georgia Tech, 56.5. Georgia Tech's terrible. UCF, I don't know. They showed something against South Florida or UAB, or Florida Atlantic, who was a pretty explosive team. So I think UCF pounds them. Washington State, Oregon. Oregon 6.5, 57.5. This is total trap. Oregon beats BYU. Now they go on the road. And we saw what happened when BYU went to play Baylor. They beat Baylor, and then they go on the road to BYU as a dog and lost. They went on the road to Oregon. Now Washington State's seen Oregon. Now they need to see what they're doing, because they got killed by Georgia. You didn't see anything, and then they beat a Division II team. So now they beat BYU. I like the under in this game. Washington State's got an exceptional defense. Oregon, I don't know. They've seen what the quarterback's doing. They'll defense it, but they seem like a very good defensive team, Washington State. 57.5 is a big number. All right. Where was it? All right. Ole Miss 21 over Tulsa. Ole Miss is a very strong team this year so far, an A team. Tulsa is an over team. No defense. Ole Miss should cover the 21. It's a little bit of a big number, but I think Ole Miss covers. Cal 3.5, 15.5 over Arizona. I don't know. DeLuca kills San Diego State and then gets killed by Mississippi State. So throws a lot of interceptions. Cal's strong defense showed you against Notre Dame. It's a tough game. It's probably a low-scoring one. Liberty 26.5, 53 against Akron. There's no quarterback. Liberty, both their first-string quarterback and second-string quarterback are out. Akron's terrible. It's a hard game to play because Liberty, are they going to win by 26 with the third-string quarterback? East Car 16.5, 48 over the Navy. Probably East Car. Navy's looked so bad so far this year. Georgia Southern 9.5, 67.5 over Ball. Ball is the Z team. Terrible offense, no defense. And we saw what Georgia Southern did to Nebraska. And then we saw them last week against a really pissed off UAB team who had lost. And they were down big and came back. And it was 28-21, I think was the final. I like Georgia Southern here. I just think, you're betting against the Z team with the low number, with the explosive offense. So it just adds up. I don't know how strong Georgia Southern really is, but you saw what they did in Nebraska. They're at home. They're off the loss. So I could see them being flat last week because they got the upset over Nebraska. And they're, okay, we're happy. And they play UAB, who's a very good team, pretty tough. Now they're off a loss at home against a weak Ball State team. I think they beat them by at least 20. Old D, Arc State, Old D 557. Old D's an under team. Arc State's an over team with a bad defense. Over under 56. I don't know. I think Arc State can hold in there because of their offense. Old D, I don't know. They beat, I think, Virginia Tech or something. So I don't know. Arc State got killed by Alabama. So join the list. I think Arc State can stay in there with their offense, but their defense is so bad. It's a hard one. Houston 17.5 over Rice, 51.5. I think Houston kills them. Houston's an over. Rice I have as an over, but Houston's played UTSA and Kansas. They're playing good team. There was a good team they played before and played them real close. Rice, to me, I don't know. They're scoring a little bit, but their defense sucks. I like Houston. I think here 17.5. Rice, I don't know. I think they beat a Division II team, which is skewing their over because I don't think they're that explosive. All right. Let's go into the Kentucky 25.5, 54 against Northern Illinois. This is the initial question. So let's go and look at if we can get an injury update, if they were nice enough. Kentucky running back Jefferson sidelined with a torn ACL on September 6th. So that he's already been out. Lewis, wide receivers, questionable. Rodriguez, running back, is out with the suspension. McLean, running back, he sat out the last 2 games, so I don't think he's a big player. And then Nelly, a defensive end, questionable. So we don't know. A couple of running backs out, but we don't know. Northern Illinois, no injury report. Thank you very much. So now I got to go to a different site. And we will quickly call up Northern Illinois. So if you go to covers.com gives you injuries of every college and pro. Pretty updated. So let me see if Lombardi is playing. And then I'll get to our questions. Northern Illinois. All right. Well, Jalen Reed's still listed as questionable. I don't know if they've updated this. The Michigan State receiver. Northern Illinois, Lombardi's still questionable with the knee. I guess all you can look at is the point spread. And Kentucky went from 26. So it's 25.5. So it really doesn't tell me much. Over under a 54. Did that move? 53. So I don't know. The spread's down to 25.5. I mean, Kentucky's way the better team. And they're at home. So I think they're okay. They're not the best bet on the board, but they're okay. Thoughts on Purdue minus 13.5. Aiden O'Connell is that guy, but he is, I think, out. Listening on the radio, and the guy says O'Connell's out. So be careful with Purdue. Let me go to that injury. I'll get back with you, Ryan, in 1 second. This is the only problem with covers. Are they really, updating it Saturday morning? A lot of injuries for Notre Dame, as we know. Ohio State's got a lot of questionables. Oklahoma was clean. Oak State, pretty clean. Penn State, who am I looking for? Purdue. Big Purdue. O'Connell still says questionable. He hurt his ribs. He's got the same injury, I think, as Herbert on San Diego. So I don't. If he plays, he's battered up, but I don't think he's playing. Where's Purdue? All right, so we'll get to Purdue in a minute. Christopher, it was crazy to watch some of the spreads and over-under moves so fast last night. That's why I try to get them in. I know who I want, and I try to get them in, especially in the pros. That's why sometimes I'll post those plays like Monday night I've already analyzed the game. I already know I want the over or the under. I know it's going to move. So I'm usually ahead of the curve there. And then here they come and all the movements. And I think half of it's bullshit. I think it's just Vegas moving the line. I don't know that there's that much betting going on to move a line 4 or 5 points. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Okay. Iowa 8.5 over Rutgers. I think Iowa shuts them out. I think it'll be low scoring, but the over under is 34 on the game. You can't really play. You can't fuck with the over under. I think you just take Iowa, now it's 8.5, 2.5, keep it under 3, but Iowa shuts them out. Marshall 3.5, 51.5 over Troy. Let me try to find Purdue. Are they playing a Division II team, Purdue? Oh, no, they're Florida Atlantic. Okay. What was it at? 17.5? All right, I'll get to them in a minute. Marshall 3.5, 51 over Troy. Marshall's an A team. They're very strong. They still went to Notre Dame and won, which is always a big thing, no matter how bad Notre Dame is. Troy's an even team. Yeah, I think Marshall, well, they're okay. Troy had App State except for the Hail Mary. So I don't know. I think Marshall wins a close game, though, but take the teaser. And don't be afraid to go from 3.5 to plus 2.5. I hate this. You can't go with 0. Like, what the hell? You can go with 0. It's not important. It's important that I'm not laying 3.5. What's important. And if I get any points with Marshall, if you think it's a good bet, then it's still a good bet. Getting the 2.5, what's the difference? You're not laying the 3.5. That's the point. They win by 1. You won. It doesn't matter. South Alabama 13 over La Tech. South Alabama, as we know, is a very strong team. Had UCLA, killed Central Michigan. Very good team here. Tech's an over team. And the over-under is, Jesus, down to 58.5. This is definitely an overplay. Southern Alabama scores, and they're good. Tech can definitely score. They went to a fast offense, so I mean, unless it's some sort of weather problem, I definitely like that game over. A&M 2.5, 50 over Arkansas. Playing Arkansas today. Arkansas is the better team. A&M really doesn't have an offense, little defense. Arkansas sees them every year. Arkansas, love Jefferson, great quarterback. Now, I was listening to one show, and the guy saying all these injuries to Arkansas, and I looked, they don't have any injuries. I don't know what he's talking about, unless they just don't list their injuries. But I'm sure everybody plays against A&M. A&M, they don't have an offense, so how are they going to blow out Arkansas? And you got to love Jefferson, the quarterback, Arkansas, and you got to scratch your head with A&M's quarterback. So definitely Arkansas is a live dog. Tulane, Southern Miss, Tulane 12.5, 48.5. Tulane I have as an A team. So right now they've kind of played a weak schedule, but they are a good team. Southern Miss is an E team. They have Frank Gore Jr. They played Miami a half, and then Miami blew them out 30-7. I kind of like Tulane in the game. UNLV, Utah State. UNLV's 362. Like UNLV here. UNLV is such a strong team now. They're an A team based on what's happened. Now, I know they beat a Division II team, but they scored a ton of points on a pretty good team last week, which I can't remember who the team was, but they killed them, and I was like going, wow. So they're almost like a Kansas. Utah. Where are UNLV? See, a lot depends on who you beat that determines it. Okay, they beat a North Texas team 58-27. North Texas is a pretty high scoring team, so they not only they held them to 27, but they're putting up a 58 on North Texas, and they come to Utah State, who's terrible. I got Utah State as a Z team, so they're not scoring and they don't have a defense. So you're putting a team who put up 58 against North Texas, not high school team, and they come into a team with no defense, and they're only laying 2.5. Okay, so again, I'm going to ask the question to Aiden: why would you go money line? What are you laying with Vegas? What, 11-10 on a straight bet? And I don't know what a teaser line that you play. What's your odds on that? Probably 11-10. What's your money line on that? I mean, the money line I see here is $1.50. Well, why would you give $1.50 for them just to win when, okay, if you're like that, just do a teaser for 110 on your dollar instead of 150, and now you got 3 points. You think they're going to win anyway, and then we only have 100 plays here we can give you. I gave you Kansas, so if you want tease Vegas with Kansas, you pay less juice. You've got points, and they're going to kill Utah State anyway. This is not Utah State getting the upset here. This is UNLV pounding them like they just pounded North Texas. Yeah, they're on the road as a favorite, but they're playing Utah State. This is probably the best line you're ever going to get with a strong offense going against the Z team. The others like Georgia Southern that we talked about against Ball State. Again, Ball State's a Z team. So you got to know your team. So against the Z team means they don't score and they don't have a defense. And I got a pretty good offense in Georgia Southern and a pretty good offense in UNLV going against weak-ass, no offense, weak defensive teams. They're going to light it up because for these teams, they want the win. They're not going to be flat. They were flat a little against, not really, but UAB is a very strong team. So to beat Nebraska and then lose to UAB, okay, but UAB is a good team off of a loss. Now they're at home and they're pissed. So you definitely can see where both of these teams are very strong. Christopher, throw Georgia Southern, UNLV, and Kansas in a teaser and let it ride. Absolutely, and you can add the Georgia under to that and make a pretty 4-team teaser. Off you go. I just played my 5-team teaser with Alex. So Alex buys the teaser, I give him the games, and then I get 20% of his bet. So he shows me the slip, and then we won week 1. We didn't win last week because of BYU. And now I gave him a 5. I think I gave him a 5 or 6 team teaser. There's at least 7 easy games for me this week. So I try to play 7. It's my lucky number. Christopher, don't waste your money on the money line. I really don't understand why anybody would play the money line, especially in teaser world where we're in, where you can easily find a second game. The odds are less, and especially on a 2-point favorite, I don't understand it. You're only laying 2. So you go to a money line figuring what? They're only going to win by 1? Because if they win anyway and they win by more than 2, you're going to cover the 2. And if you're scared of that, you tease it up +4, which is better than the money line because now they can lose by 1 or 2 or 3 and you still win. So I agree with you, Christopher. I have no freaking idea why I have never played a money line play in my life, and I never will because I don't get. And you're laying, first of all, let's go back to blackjack, where you used to get 7 to 6 for your blackjacks in the day, right? You'd bet $5 and they'd give you the extra couple of dollars on your blackjack, which I think now either even money over 6 to 5. 7 to 6 are better odds than 6 to 5. So they're fucking around with the odds on you. Then they come out with these DraftKings and MGM. And you ever go to MGM, make a football bet? Your teaser there is 13 to 10. At least it was, a year or 2 ago. 13-10 for a teaser, which is a sucker bet, they say. But wait a minute. Apparently, they're getting killed on them because they're not sucker bets. Once you take the 6 points and you do what I do and you figure out the teams and you go, fuck, yeah, I can get Arkansas at 9 points today against a weak offensive team like A&M, and Arkansas, they play Georgia, so they see the real deal. So when they play an A&M, good defense. I thought Miami had some terrible play calling and missed 3 field goals, should have won, and A&M score came on a return or something. But I think Arkansas is a good play, and I can get 9 points with them. So I don't get the thought of the money line. I mean, it's really I don't get it. I mean, the only time I maybe would use a money line, like maybe if you want to play Ohio State, Wisconsin, and they're laying 19 and you want to go to money line on them. And then let's go to that game. All right, perfect. Ohio State's laying 19, 56.5. So you can lay the 19, you can tease it down to 13, which is under 2 touchdowns, or you can play the money line. So all they got to do is win, laying 11.15. So $1,100 to win 100. But look how the money line works. If you take Wisconsin, you think you'd get plus 11.15, right? No, you get 670. This is the scam of the money line. Why is Wisconsin only getting 670 when Ohio State's laying 11.15? Where's 500? Oh, that goes to the casino. They're fucking everybody on these odds. So they're not even, right? I mean, in a normal game, if you took Ohio State, you lay 19. If you take Wisconsin, you get 19. It's not like you lay 19 with Ohio State and you only get 12 with Wisconsin. No, it's 19, whatever the line is. But why is the money line so skewed? Because it's a scam. Get away from the money lines. They don't help you. Luzenzo. Sorry if I mispronounce you. I got a parlay for today. What's people's thoughts? Kansas, Eastern Michigan, Miami, and Notre Dame. I'm going to tell you to get away from Eastern and to get away from Notre Dame. And I will tell you to go to Georgia Southern and Georgia under and Kansas. Well, you got Kansas. So Kansas, Michigan, Miami. Replace it with Georgia under and Georgia Southern. That would be my 5 there. I might also look into the Washington State under and the USC. Notre Dame, why would you play Notre Dame? They have no offense. Now, see, this is the problem. People listen on the radio or the TV, and these guys come out with these far-out games, and they can't really justify them. And then people go, oh, I'm going to take it. You're welcome, Luzenzo. That's what I'm here for. But that's the problem. That's why I tell you, don't listen to them because they will skew you. I was listening to talking about Arkansas's injuries, and I look, there's no Arkansas injuries. There's a few. But like Georgia, did you think Georgia would suck this year because their 10 defensive players got drafted in the first 2 rounds in the pros? Did you think they're going to fall off? No, because they have backups and they rotate on defense. So if Arkansas has a few injuries on defense, they rotate in the other guys. They're a very strong team, and I love their quarterback, and it's all about the quarterback. You got a good quarterback, not like Notre Dame, North Carolina does, and then Arkansas has got a very good quarterback, or Miami, or Wake, or Utah, which we see, and now USC in the mix. That is crucial. That, a strong quarterback versus a weak quarterback, it's not even close. So anyway, so money lines, they're not good bets, right? If they were even, if you got 11-15 with Wisconsin, 11-15 with Ohio State, I would say that. So who's my Wisconsin guy today? Ryan. Okay, Ryan. So you taking the money line with Wisconsin? Take Wisconsin and the points. So you're not even taking the big plus 670 on a money line. Ohio State facing a Wildcat. I am not worried about it. That means I'll just put 9 in the box. Okay, so now Ohio State's up 21-0. Now what are you going to do? You're going to run Wildcat? I know their quarterback sucks. That's why I just don't. I can't really adjust to taking. I couldn't take Wisconsin in this game. The spread's 19-25. Remember, Washington State beat them. We had that as our under. I think it was a lock under. Washington State's a very good under this year. I don't know. They changed coaches. This guy's a motherfucker defensive coach, and they are just – Oregon's going to be lucky to get to 20 today is all I can say. And they don't score a lot either. I'm not saying Washington State's – that's not Mike Leach. They don't score, but they are a strong defensive team. All right, let's get back to it. All right. South Carolina 23.5 over Charlotte. As far as I know, Reynolds played last week, is playing this week. How is South Carolina 23.5 over anybody? Rattler is terrible. I apologize. I thought he'd throw 3 interceptions against Georgia. He only threw 2. He was like 7 of 20 for 100 yards against my Georgia team. And that's about what I thought. South Carolina minus 23.5. I like Charlotte or the over. I don't even know if I don't like South Carolina to score a lot, even as bad as Charlotte's defense. I think Charlotte in 29 is definitely a good play here all day. NC State 39 over UConn. What do we got there? NC State's strong team, strong defense, good quarterback. Connecticut's a Z team. 39's a bit much. I mean, it's funny. It's 39. The over-under is only 50. So they're expecting him to win, 40-10? No, that wouldn't even be. That'd be 30. 45-5? They're expecting him to win 45-5 with this strange number. 39-49. I would almost think it's an under. I think Connecticut, well, they might put up a 56 just because Connecticut's so bad. Connecticut won't score in this game. Okay, so we talked Ohio State, Wisconsin. I like Ohio State minus the 13, but not. I think it's a high number against Wisconsin. Strong defensive team, but Ohio State plays them very well. Ohio State's so hard to play. Between their options, the quarterback still can't read a defense. He just looks at how many guys and he either hands off or throws the pad, and they try to make him look better than he is, like Fields, and then he gets in the NFL and he sucks. They don't teach him how to read a defense, where the blitz is coming from, stuff like that. So I look for Wisconsin to blitz all night. It's the only chance they have, but I think Ohio State pulls away late and probably wins by 14-20, something like that. It could be a close game, but I don't see Wisconsin doesn't have the offense to really hurt them. And the defense, I don't know, is that great either. Northwestern, 7.5 over Miami, Ohio. I like Northwestern here. Miami, Ohio's quarterback's out. Gabbert's brother is out for the year. Question is Joe Montana the backup? I mean, this is what gets me in college. The guy gets hurt, boom, all of a sudden Rising from Utah comes in. You're like, why the hell isn't this guy the starter the whole time? Van Dyke at Miami. You had King last year, the first 3 games, they suck. Van Dyke comes in, he starts lighting it up. You're like, why wasn't this guy your quarterback? So you never know what the backup is until you see him a few games. So be careful with Miami of Ohio, but we'll tell you about that. Alabama 40.5, 60 against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt I have as an over team because of the Hawaii game, so that's kind of skewed. So beating a Z team's like beating a Division II. Alabama laying 40.5 in conference is a big number, though. Once you're in conference, you can't lay 40 to anybody. I mean, Vandy's not the Z team. I think South Carolina is. You've got to be careful there. So that's a big number in conference to lay. I would not lay Alabama tonight. over under what, 50, 60. Yeah, maybe go over. Vandy should score a little on them. I mean, these teams see Alabama every year. Well, they don't. Vandy's in the other side. That's where Alabama gets you. They play Tennessee and Vanderbilt on the other side, who've been crap. And they usually avoid Georgia and they usually avoid Florida, although last year they played Florida. So somehow the schedule, they always get the weak teams on the other side. So there's a lot of secrets Alabama does that everybody thinks they're so great. Weak scheduling, and then the switch over. They're never playing Georgia and very rarely Florida or Kentucky. It's Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and probably South Carolina or something. Christopher, what do you think about Oklahoma being teased down to 6.5? This team definitely feels like it can beat Kansas State by a score. Yeah, I don't think Kansas State's all that good, and I'm about to get to that. It is in Oklahoma. They are playing a much stronger defense because Venables is bringing the Clemson defense. So their offense seems to be okay. They're playing the UCF offense with Dylan Gabriel. They brought in the coordinator from UCF, so he's comfortable, and they're playing the Clemson defense. And you saw against Nebraska, Nebraska's a pretty good offensive team, couldn't do anything. Kansas State is really a running team. They got Martinez, the quarterback from Nebraska, who all he wants to do is run. They got Deuce Vaughn to run the ball, and he gets 150 a game. And K-State usually brings a pretty good defense, but I can't imagine Oklahoma can't win this game by 14 or more. Yeah, I like that, Christopher, absolutely. Purdue, Florida Atlantic. Again, we talked about that. 17:58. We've got O'Connell with the hurt rib, apparently. We'll see if he plays. Maybe he plays. 17:58. It was 17.5, 59, so it is going down. Florida Atlantic got crushed by UCF, which I was surprised by. The Florida Atlantic blows out some of these Sunbelt type teams and then gets in against UCF, who's a much better team, and blows them out. So I think Purdue, we'll see who their backup is, how good he is. That'll be the key to it. But I think Purdue, again, without their quarterback, it's a good game to watch. I think you got to learn their second quarterback. New Mexico, LSU laying 31.5, 45. New Mexico, I'll tell you, has a hell of a defense. That Rocky guy is their defensive coordinator, used to be the coach for 100 years there, or at one of these at San Diego State. Rocky Long, I think. And he's a great defender. They look very strong defensively. LSU, Bote is not playing, the great wide receiver. I think LSU's more. I think this will be the over-under is 45. It's so freaking low. How do you make it 45? LSU. Where is LSU? Would they switch from a day game to a night game? Oh, here they are. 31.5, 45.5. New Mexico and under. LSU's an A team. Well, I had the game listed as an over, but I don't know. New Mexico is very strong defensively. LSU should score. I can't lay 31 with New Mexico is not going to score much. Good defense. I think the spread's a little too high. Florida State 18.5, 48.5. Quarterback's questionable on Florida State. Check that out. The game's at 8:00, so you should know by then. I like Florida State if the quarterback plays. 18.5. Boston College is they lost to Rutgers or Temple or somebody. They're pretty bad this year. Hawaii, New Mexico State, a battle of the Z teams. New Mexico State's laying 52.5. Maybe they beat Hawaii, who's just terrible. I think the coach is in way over his head. Like the Denver Bronco coach, apparently, he's in way over his head. And he's laying 5. not like Hawaii to go to the mainland, but they're such a bad team. How do you lay points with New Mexico State? Just watch this game. Okay, we just talked Oklahoma 13.5, 53. Play Oklahoma. Lou Lafayette, Lou Monroe. The Battle of the Louisianas. 9.5, 51 is the thing. Louisiana Lafayette favored. I got Lou Lafayette as a B team, Lou Monroe as a Z team in a weak defense. So I would take Lou Lafayette only laying, what are they laying? 3.5. I don't know that it's a rivalry game or that it's just they're both, in the same vicinity in Louisiana. But I don't love Lou Lafayette. They lost the coach as the Florida coach, and the quarterback moved on. So I don't know. They look okay, but I don't think they played anybody. I'm not betting on Lou Lafayette yet. USC down to 5.5, 70.5 against Oregon State. I like USC here. I'm watching USC. My God, I'm not sure that. I think the only team that I think can stop them in either league, pro or college, is Georgia. I don't know that Alabama could stop this team. It's just good quarterback play, good schemes, and they just move up and down the field. Fresno State's just as good as Oregon State. They couldn't stop them. Again, they'll put up 45. Now, this game should go over. Now, here's the method of betting. Do you can you make the same bet again? So we bet USC Fresno State over 64, and it was 62, and they're at the goal line at the end of the game, and they didn't score. They score, we win. You got the same situation here, laying 70.5 over under with Oregon State, who's a very good team, a very good, very strong offense. I love Chase Nolan, the quarterback, good receivers. They're a balanced team. Oregon State's an A team. I don't think their defense – I think the only team that really is going to give USC any type of trouble is going to be Washington State because of their defense, and Utah. UCLA maybe. But the more I'm watching USC, they fit right into it, running this Oklahoma offense. But their defense – teams will drive down to the 10-yard line on them, like last week. Fresno State got to the goal line twice and didn't score. And, Stanford got to the 5-yard line several times. Like 4 times they got inside the 10 and didn't score. They fumbled a couple times. They missed a field goal. So USC, when you get down close to the goal line, is able to – stop you. So I don't know why. I don't know if they'll stop Oregon State as easily because they can run the ball. But I see them. I definitely see USC winning the game. But I think this game could go over. I think Oregon State, again, if Haener doesn't get hurt in the beginning of the third quarter for Fresno State, they easily go into the 80s. He's going to put up some touchdowns. You can't lose a Haener. There's no such thing as next man up when you lose a Haener or you lose a Rising or Thompson Robinson, or even if USC lost their quarterback, it's not next man up for that. Maybe for offensive line or linebacker, but not quarterback, running back. I like USC to win the game. I just see the way I'm watching them and the way their offense is moving, I don't think Oregon State's got the defense to hold them, and I think they just keep scoring on you. And then I think Oregon State will score. I think it'll be a little more competitive, and could go down into the fourth quarter. I definitely see this as an 80-point game. You might play over 64 if you prefer. If you're scared that Oregon State's going to win. But I just see USC winning. I think the line going down makes no sense. Who the hell is betting against USC? You could have USC evens. Now I got a half-point USC. I mean, that's the play in that game. BYU 21.5, 50 over Wyoming. BYU will be pissed off of a loss. Wyoming upset the Air Force. Well, we saw what Air Force did after their loss. They killed Nevada, who they're really an under team. They have a decent defense, and Air Force beat them 48-20. You got the same play here. You got BYU beating Baylor, so you know they're good. Probably a little flat because they beat Baylor. That's what happens when you win a big game. And then they go on to Oregon and get beat. And now they're pissed. 21.5, 50. Wyoming early in the year went to Illinois and got crushed. But then they came back the next week to win because they were pissed off. So what you're going to get is a pissed off BYU team for losing to Oregon. But Wyoming does not have an offense. So BYU's with Hall is going to light it up. Even though Wyoming's got a good defense, this is at BYU. You're in the mountains. And BYU is going to be really pissed off the loss. So that's what you're getting. You're getting the team off the loss. So you can't look at it, well, we lost with BYU, so I'm never going to bet BYU again because we lost with them. You can't bet like that. You've got to play it like poker. Last hand I had pocket aces. This hand I got a 3-7 offsuit. Next hand I get pocket kings. So it depends what you got. And you can't, well, last hand I got aces. So this hand I'm going to play my 3-7 because I'll win, with a miracle. It'll come 3-3-7 on the flop. I mean, really? So all you can look at is BYU's pissed that they lost and go from there. Wyoming, not a very good offensive team. Won't score a lot in the game. I wouldn't go over like 50. I wouldn't go over 44. I'd probably go under 56, but I think I'd just take BYU here. My Utah, 15.5, 54 against Arizona State. What do I got? Arizona State I got as an E team. They score 25, give up 25. They don't have a great defense, which is favorable for Utah with their offense, with Rising. Great quarterback. They've got their one loss to Florida. How the hell they did that? And they had the ball at the goal line twice. Just bad play calling, I find. Then they've been on a roll. I looked for them. Arizona State's coach, they fired. So now who's coaching? That makes a big difference. I just see Utah here. Lay the points. They're not going to stop Rising, and he's just going to light it up for 50 with this, Again, what beats us is the defense, and you don't have a bad defense here. You don't have a great defense in Arizona State. Utah's a better team. Stanford, Washington, 13.5, 62. Washington. I like Washington here. Now, they could be a little flat for the Michigan State game, but they are at home. Stanford is really unusual offense where they hold the ball in the running back's stomach for 5 seconds, reading the safety. So it reminds me of the old Baylor read option, which is where it all started, was RG3. And they would read the safety. If you came up, they'd throw. And if you stayed back, they'd run. And that's what Stanford's trying to do. But I like Washington here. San Jose State 7 over Western. I would just watch it. Maybe San Jose State because Western's going to have a hard time going to the West Coast and playing a 10:30 game. I know if I flew out there and had to play a 10:30 game, it would be very tough. It's hard enough I had to go play poker in Vegas at 10:30. I'm tired. So that's basically what's going on today. Again, you got your Purdue quarterback maybe injured. Otherwise, free play Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow. San Diego quarterback looks like he's out because the line dropped. As I'm telling you, let the line will tell you the news. The spread dropped from 7-3 yesterday afternoon after the show. And that's so he's probably out. Now the question is Chase Daniel. So I think it gets a little bit over exaggerated because Chase Daniel is a very good quarterback. He's a pro. He's been in the league 15 years backing up Drew Brees, and I thought he was very strong when he played at Missouri. So they would score 40 a game with him at Missouri. I thought he was very good. So I don't think Chase Daniels hurt you. You're betting the defense there. If I look at what the line was and is, San Diego, so they go from 7-3 and from 47, which was I had as an over, to 43. I think now it's an under. Jacksonville, decent defense. They got the Georgia guy and they got no quarterback. San Diego now with the backup quarterback probably runs the ball with Eckler more. And, they'll still throw. Keenan Allen, I don't think, is playing. And they got the defense with Khalil Mack and Bosa and James. I'll say that Trevor Lawrence gets sacked 5 times and throws 3 picks. I think it's an under game unless the picks are pick sixes. So here's where it's unusual. With Herbert, it's an over. They're going to score in the 30s. Without him, now it's going to be either team won't get to 20. Again, Jacksonville, Lawrence, you watch the games, they might have scored. They scored 24 last week. He was responsible for 7. There'd be a return. I think there's a pick 6 and a something near the other team's goal line where they usually ran it. It was a few running plays and they score. So he's not doing anything. So I think because of the injury, it goes to an under. That's how you readjust. The quarterback's critical in over-unders. Brady Rodgers going over because of that. Man, it's a very low over. 41 down to take it to 35 to go over with that game. I mean, they'll eat that game up. But that's what you look for. So now if you play a teaser, let's say there's Ohio State at night. Let's say you played it during the day and the team lost. So let's say I play a Houston BYU teaser, and Houston, let's say, is on at 2:00 and BYU is a night game, and Houston loses, but I still like BYU. So the thought is to then play BYU maybe with Ohio State or maybe with USC, finding a night game, or going BYU with Kansas City Chiefs or something. So if first game in the teaser, but you still like it, then play it again. You still like the game, but you don't have the teasers closed because you lost. And that happens. You're going to lose some of the teasers. That's the whole point. Now, an interesting question I got from G. She says to me, what's the difference between – so you get my picks, right? You go to the pick site, and I break it into here's the teaser, and then I put in a amount I bet versus the units. So, what's the difference? Well, everybody's got their own amount they bet per unit. So if you're a $50 unit guy and I give you 9 units, I'm not saying to bet $450 on it. I'm saying you want to bet a little bit more on a 9-unit play than on a 7-unit play, but you want to bet more on a 21-unit lock than you do on a 9-unit lock. So whatever you bet on the unit is what you should play it for. So the way to win in teasers is you must bet different amounts. So if you were to play two-team teasers and you put $100, so let's say juice is 110. So you bet 110 on one teaser with 2 teams. You bet 110 on another teaser with 2 other teams. So you've got 4 teams bet. You've got 110 and 110. Your odds on winning are 0, are very slim because you got to go 4-0, which is extremely difficult to do. You're pretty much going to go 3-1. I pretty much go 3-1 on my picks. What I'm trying to do is differentiate my betting and try to weed out the loser, and then I win $200. So I bet $220 on one and $110 on the other. I win the $221, I lose the $110, and I win $100. So instead of losing because they're both 110, and unless I go 4-0, then just making sure you're betting. That's why I differentiate the units. You want to bet more on the strong plays because we like the strong plays. Some of these games we bet like I like Kansas a lot more And I will bet a lot more on them than, let's say, I took Ohio State, because Ohio State's much more risky because they're laying 19 to Wisconsin. If it was 7, it would be a lock down to 1. But at 19, there's risk. I don't think Wisconsin will win, but I think Ohio State, they have a good defense, and that always scares me, is good defensive teams to bet and lay a lot against them. Although I do think Ohio State covers here. But I don't think it. I don't have as much confidence. I think I'll bet Ohio State because it's Ohio State at home against a team without a quarterback and an offense in Wisconsin. So you're going to bet more on Kansas than you are on Ohio State, because you think, well, I don't know if I'll win Ohio State, but I have a much better feeling on Kansas, right? They just crushed Houston, they just crushed West Virginia, and they got freaking Duke. So Kansas, I feel much stronger. I'm going to bet much more on than I am. And then I look for the second part of it. Kansas City Chiefs, boom. Yeah, I love them. They'll beat Indiana. They just got to win, or Indy. So I make that teaser, let's say 15 units. And then I get to Ohio State and I go, I don't want to put 15 units on Ohio State, let's say with USC. Well, I don't want to put 15 units on that because Ohio State could be my loser. They might win, but I don't like the line, so I'm going to bet that smaller. I'm going to play that for 9 units. So I got a 15-unit play, which maybe is 500, and then I got a 9-unit play, which maybe is 200. And the thought is, well, I like USC. Do I pair them with Ohio State? Do I play Ohio State? And then the key is, well, okay, I won the Kansas State, the Kansas City 1,500. So that whatever I just said, let's say I put 500 and 200. So I win the 5, and now, okay, I lose the 2. But that's how you play 4 teams, right? I win the 5, I lose the 2, I win 300, roughly. That's the idea in teasers. But if I were to bet 500 on each and Ohio State loses, I don't win anything, right? I win 500, I lose 500. With the juice, I get juiced out. Even if you do William Hill, who was no juice on college, okay, I still then break, I break even, I don't lose juice. And that's what I discovered. That's why I ranked the games and the teams, and that's why I switched to units. So when you buy from me or anything, the more the unit play is, I want you to differentiate the bets to bet more on the higher unit plays. Now, I'm not necessarily saying if you play $100 a unit and I say it's a 9-unit play, to play it for 900. I'm not saying that. I just put the amount in, which correlates usually with the 900, with the 9 units. But pretty much I'm showing you what I'm doing if I'm $100 a unit. But I might play it for 500 sometimes, depending on what's going on, depending on the strength of my pick. But the 9 units is to differentiate it from a 5-unit play or a 15-unit play. I'm telling you to bet more on that teaser than the other teaser. That's how you win in teasers, is you find those special games and you pound it and you put them in 2 teasers. I might have Kansas City in 2 teasers because I really like them. I go, fuck, they're even against Indy. They're going to win that game. So if I find that, that's what generates the lock, and that's what generates the multiple teaser. Now I don't have to go 4-0. So if I play Kansas City in 2 teasers, and all I got to do now is I only have 3 teams. I don't have to win 4. I just have to win 3. So as long as Kansas City wins and they're in 2 teasers, now I just got to hit, now it's just, you got to go really 2 for 2, which is much easier than going 4 for 4. So that's the thought process. That's why I lock games. It's based on, I feel much stronger with it. And then it's a matter of putting them in 2 teasers, because if I really love the game, I want it in multiple teasers, and or I know I'm going to have some losers, so I'm trying to weed out the losers. So when I look at all my picks, I try to do I really want Ohio State? Is it really, they're playing Wisconsin? Is that really what I want to bet on? Or do I want to go to Kansas? And do I want to go to USC? So I have more thought on which games I want to play. to help you win. And that's really what I'm trying to do, because I know you can't just bet 4 teams and 2 teasers for the same amount. You'll never win. You can't go 100%. It's not going to happen, even with the 6 points. But you can figure out really strong plays, and you can adjust your bets and bet more on the stronger plays. And then you still might want to bet these other, like, I'll take Wisconsin, but you can't bet a ton on it. You got to be careful with it. Andrew, Arkansas gold. Yeah, I think so. How's Canada doing, Andrew? You getting your money out of the bank? Is that okay? Gold's about to go through the roof. Real quick mention: China and Russia are coming out with a dollar backed by gold. The U.S. is holding gold down because they don't want you to get out of U.S. dollars. The rest of the world is buying gold hand over fist. Well, but I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, but I am saying it's going to be very soon. When you hear the announcement of Saudi Arabia saying that we're going to take every dollar, not the U.S. dollar, the U.S. dollar loses its status of world reserve currency. When that happens, the dollar goes to crap. Gold, they're just about done with this COMEX crap. So you're looking at COMEX, and I keep teaching you don't. So COMEX, which is phony, which is derivatives, which is like fixing a game, is down, not the value of gold. So if you were to go to India or China or Russia and you wanted to buy gold, you'd still be paying it because it's still in US dollars. But once it breaks the US dollars, it's going through the roof. It's 10,000 an ounce if it's anything, Andrew. So you can't, it's not like an exact time. I can't tell you at 2:00 on Tuesday it's going to jump to 10,000 an ounce. What I can tell you is it is going to jump to 10,000 an ounce, and it's going to jump much higher. So you can't, it's not a stock, and you have to first understand, what is it? It's money. If you hold yourself in Canadian dollars, you're going to be broke if you can even get to the bank to get it out. So you have to look at the alternative. So if we just look at what do you got? You got Canadian dollars or US dollars. They're going down in value. It's a car that's being depreciated. If you keep your money there, you're screwed. If you buy gold, you're waiting for this break, and then it's going to go through the roof because it's an asset and it's money. So and if you just think of it like that you're getting your money out of dollars into gold, into an asset, then you're way ahead of the game. They won't hold my money. I don't have any. Laugh a lot. Okay, well, you better get some, because I don't know how you're going to survive without money, unfortunately, unless you live on a farm and you can feed yourself and you own your house and you don't have to pay rent, but you still have to pay property taxes. But the banks are, they're not going to give you your money, and you're going to be lucky to get, okay, then the sugar mama's she's going to want her, no wonder Carrie's asking me, okay. So she's going to lose her money, and you don't want Carrie to lose her. You don't want her to get angry. So she better get her money out of the bank, but it's going to lose value. That's the problem. So the value of the dollar is all bullshit. It's paper. We've discussed that on my economic shows. So it's going to lose its value like a used car goes to zero because it depreciates and it gets worn out. And that's what's going to happen. And gold and silver are real money. And that's the key to it. So just watch. This is what's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. Again, I'm not giving you a date. I'm not saying the end of September. I would say by the end of the year, you're going to see a lot of shit hitting the fan. But just trust me that gold and silver are going to save your life. So that's all I can say. And I'm not giving you a date. Have I ever given you a date? I'm saying, probably, I assume by the end of the year. But again, there's no set time, although it is part of the plan, as the real professor would say. So the plan is to blow up the currencies and come out with this digital crap so they can control us. So that's really what's going on. But anyway, gold will go through the roof. Silver will go through the roof higher. Again, silver for 25 an ounce is an absolute freaking joke. So there you go, Andrew. So yeah, take Arkansas. Play them with Kansas. So that's why I differentiate the teasers. As you do your picks, you're going to find, you got to always find a reason for the pick and always give a blank score. So when you look at the game, don't look at the spread. So look at Kansas Duke and say, well, I think Kansas wins 48-30. Now let's look at the spread. Oh, it's 7. Oh, shit. Kansas -1, and I think they're going to win 48-30. I think I'll bet Kansas. So you get the score in your head, and then you look at the spread. What happens is you get manipulated by the spread. Oh, Ohio State's 19 over Wisconsin. Well, take it back. What did you think the score was going to be before you looked at the spread? I don't think Ohio State's going to win by 35 points. I think it'll be somewhat competitive because of Wisconsin's defense. And I'm not a big fan of Stroud. He throws a lot of interceptions, misses a lot of receivers. So I think Ohio State wears them down. I'm thinking what they did with Notre Dame, who sucks. That was pathetic against Notre Dame. So against that type of defense, they won by 11. So maybe they win by 20, maybe by 10. So we'll see, but that's what you got to do. And then, is it really worth the risk to bet on Ohio State laying 19 to, we know what Wisconsin is, a good defensive team, no quarterback, usually a good running back who's not going to do anything against Ohio State because they'll key on him. So, again, you want to bet Ohio State against the Toledos and the New Mexico states and the Arkansas states where they're going to put up a 70. Those are the games we want to bet. So we look for the weak defenses. We got UNLV, we got Georgia Southern, we got Kansas, UCLA today, USC, Oregon State's a little bit weak, North Carolina State, Connecticut, maybe Miami against Middle Tennessee, Utah against Arizona State. We want that really good offense going against a really weak defense, and they're just going to light it up. We don't really want to fuck with the Wisconsin defense, do we? Do we really want to lay 19, cut it to 13 against a really strong defense? Is that really what we want? If we go back, it's not. It's strength versus we're looking for weak defensive teams versus strong offenses to run it up on them. And then we sit back at halftime, we're up 40 points. That's the key to this. We don't really want to fuck around with these Wisconsin defenses or Iowa defenses that are or Georgia. You gonna start betting against Georgia? Hell no. Now, Georgia's got the offense to go along with it. But we don't want to, in this game, I think the spread's too high to jump on Ohio State. Maybe a very small play. You're watching it. It's a good game. But it's going to be tough for Ohio State. I don't believe Wisconsin has a chance to win it. And I wouldn't be, even I'm teaching a money line. You got 1,100 on Ohio State and 600 on Wisconsin, and you want to bet the money line? You got to be nuts to bet a money line. They're not good plays. They're not good odds. It's like playing a slot machine. Your odds on winning are so bad. And yes, you do win, but your odds, it's fixed and you're going to lose most of the time. So you want to really avoid that. Christopher, when it comes to teaser construction and the number of legs you choose, it is strictly based on your confidence level, or is there a strategy behind number of legs? I play a teaser with Alex today, and I get 20%, and it's much who I like. So if I find games that I want to put in this legs, Kansas, UNLV, USC. So I find these teams I really love. These I have high confidence with. So it's as many of those teams as I like goes in the thing. So it's usually 5 to 7 really, really these are really strong. And then you might throw in the other ones and play a 10-team teaser for small money. So on my Twitter, Teaserking, I post my things from Vegas where I hit an 11 and a 10-team teaser. And it was the only reason I got to 11 is I loved 11 teams. It was the last week of pros where Brady needed it for the 1 seed on New England and Manning needed it for the 2 seed on Indy, and then Green Bay needed all these teams needed to win last week of the year, and I had like 8. And then I added UCLA against the weak Virginia Tech team. I added Michigan State when they won the Rose Bowl over Stanford with that no-fly zone. And the last team was Florida State. And I like the first. Now, here's where instinct takes over. I'm in Vegas. They post the Florida State Auburn spread at 7. And my thought was Florida State -1 is can't lose. That was the year they were scoring 45 points a game and giving up 10. They were like the biggest 18 they would score on everybody. And Auburn, I think, they had obviously beaten Alabama, but they weren't that strong. So it was a case where I immediately saw it and knew it. So I added it up and it came out to 10 teams. And that's how I came up with the 10-team teaser. Then I found an 11th team. I think Aaron Rodgers was hurt. He was playing, and I took the over against the Bears in that one. So I made it to 11. You can see I put the teaser cards up on my Twitter, so you can see exactly what I bet. They're all winners. And that was it. And then, but I left the Florida State game so I could trap it. I don't show that bet, but that was just that was the trap bet, right? So I had 9 of the 10 in, 10 of the 11 in. I needed Florida State -1. I think I bet like $20 to win 500. I mean, how much are you going to bet on a 10-team teaser? But it was nice to get like $1,000 when they did it. I got you. Thank you. You're welcome, Christopher. But that's what you do. So I'm good at figuring out the teams. That's why it's always easy for me. My biggest thing is throwing out the loser. Like, do I really want to bet Ohio State? But everything else I'm giving you, it's like, that watching this team, watching that team, the quarterback, the defense. So you find enough weak defenses and you find enough of Miami of Florida, Van Dykes and Risings and McCalls. You find enough of those guys and you go, shit, I'm betting on them. They're the talent. So I learned a long time ago, like in the 70s, you bet the Steelers, and in the 80s, you bet Montana, and then you bet Lawrence Taylor. So you look for that superstar and you just go, play along. And really, that's what you do. Now, when they get injured, then you got to get off. You got to be smart enough when the guy's injured not to play him because you'll still love the team. So that's what I do, and that's why sometimes I'll play it. If you buy my package, you'll see I've got maybe Kansas and 2 teasers. I don't think I do, but you can see now. You can understand. Well, yeah, he loves Kansas, and they're laying 1 to they should win. So let's take advantage and play him in a second teaser. Once in a while, you get burned and they lose, and then you lose 2 teasers. But most of the time, now you got 2 teasers halfway done, and then you're just hoping your other part of them come in, and that's what you're looking for. But again, you got to vary the bet based on the thing, and that's what you have me for, is to tell you the strength of the play and the team. Like Kansas. Now, even though Kansas is a free play for you guys, it's a very strong play. I really like them, as I do Kansas City Chiefs. Those are not just weak plays I'm giving you for free. Those are very strong plays because I want you to make money on my plays. That's really the thought process. So I am trying to make you money. You make a lot more if you buy the week. but you have to have a bankroll and you have to know what you're going to bet. Andrew doesn't have a bankroll, so he can't play. But you keep trying to get, figure out the plays and then bet them differently and bet them stronger. That's really the key to it. So when you buy from me, it's units. You have to determine what you're going to play a 9-unit for. Maybe it's $100. Maybe it's 200. You're trying to build your bankroll up, and so you just keep going. And that's what I always do. I mean, when I was a kid, it was $500, which was a lot of money in the '70s, and I'd get it up, and then it would be 2,000, and then it would be 5,000, and I never thought about it. I just saw good plays and I started increasing the bet. And what was it? I think in '81 there was Florida State, Oklahoma. This is when it's 1981, right? And I played $2,000 on this teaser, Florida State plus 13 against Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, and Oklahoma won 18-17. And that was really it. It was like I had them in a teaser with Michigan in the bowl. Michigan covers, Florida State covers 2,100. And that's what 2,100 was money in '81. So that's really what you try to do. Is the thought of the 21 was that's where my bankroll was at. And I loved the guy. I got that feeling like that can't lose. And I just bet what I could afford in the bankroll. So you're trying to build the bankroll to see what you can bet. All right. So that's class for today. We'll talk a little bit of pro tomorrow. Really, I just wanted the point of today is, because I've already talked about this yesterday, is just really what lines changed. Okay, the Purdue quarterback's out. Looks like the Charger quarterback, Herbert, looks like he's out. The line moved, but then now what do you do with the game? And I think it turns into an under because Keenan Allen's also out, and Jacksonville, pretty good defense, still no offense. San Diego, the good defense. They'll adjust the game plan. Hopefully this idiot Charger coach doesn't keep going for 4th and 1s at his own 25, thinking, oh, well, because you don't gain anything, but if you don't make it, you've given the other team a huge lift. Is that really what you want? I don't win, but I lose. Really stupid. So keep an eye on that. 12 o'clock, games are starting. Good luck. Go on YouTube and you can watch the highlights. So if you want to see the Air Force highlight, Boise loses to UTEP. Now I take that as, fuck, Boise really sucks. UTEP, maybe not as bad as I thought with Boise. Now what happened? Was the quarterback injured? How did Boise only score 10 on UTEP? Was there a lot of running? So you check that, you check out the why. That's the next level you get to, Christopher, is you look, you make a pick, it wins or loses, it doesn't matter. And then you see the why. And that's what you're looking for. And then it confirms your thought on the team. So you can rank the team so you can bet it. All righty. Have a good week. Good luck today and tomorrow. I will be on tomorrow, same time. And again, www.teaserking.com if you want to purchase. You get my email if you want to ask the similar type of questions. You don't have to wait for me to hear. You can email me and ask the same questions. And yes, Andrew, gold will go up. And I am not giving you a time because I don't know the exact minute. All I know is it will go up. And that's all I can say. So quit worrying about it. Just buy it. Don't worry about it. All right, everybody. Good luck today. Have a great day. And if you need me, just email me. All right. Take care, everybody.